Welcome to Staking Mondays. My name is Marian. I'm the head of strategy of Staking Rewards, and today it is my pleasure to interview Anuj and Subash from Luganodes. Luganodes is one of the fastest growing staking providers with over 360 million worth of staked assets and is based in Lugano, Switzerland. Luganodes is also the lead sponsor for our upcoming staking summit in Lisbon on the 8th of November this year to shape where staking goes next. Anuj and Subash founded the company in July 2022 with a goal to build the leading institutional-grade blockchain infrastructure provider to proof-of-stake networks. Anuj is the CEO and has previously worked as digital specialist at McKinsey Bangalore. He's also a software engineer focused on DevOps and cloud engineering. Subash is the CTO and has experience in several dev positions, among others at Upseco. He's also the founder of the Open Web Foundation. Welcome to the show, Anuj and Subash. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much.
Let's jump right in. When did you first come across crypto, and which token was the first one that you staked?
Interesting. So I can go first and share a quick interesting story. So I came across crypto in early 2017, and I used to give my friend some cash to basically buy me some crypto because he was holding an exchange account, and he used to buy on behalf of me. And the first token that I bought was Ethereum. And then obviously in 2020, I believe, late 2020, I came across staking, which was really exciting for me. And I staked some Matic tokens.
Yeah. So I think I was in school or my first year, freshman year at college. I'm not sure, but I came across Bitcoin, and I couldn't get any, but so I tried mining them, and I did get some, but I have no idea after that. I think this is typically what happened to most people who got to know about Bitcoin. Then you mine some and then you forget about it. So yeah, that happened. Then the first token I think I bought was US. Because there was a lot of hype at that time, and eventually I would say the first token I staked would be Cosmos, because I was deeply interested in how the ecosystem worked, and I actually bought to try it out and tried things. So yeah, that was me.
And then you founded Luganodes mid this year. What drove you to that decision? Could you maybe walk us through how you got to that point?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we saw was almost 93 billion USD worth of crypto was getting staked, and the proof of stake market cap was around $150 billion. And apart from that, there was also a lot of institutions who were getting very, very serious about crypto staking. Institutions such as Signum Bank, Seba Bank, Revolut, the largest asset manager from the US, which is BlackRock, has been showing like tremendous interest in this space, and they are getting more and more involved in the digital asset, right? So that's when I thought of tag teaming with Subash, who is also my batchmate and a very close friend, and who has like deep expertise in blockchain infrastructure, and not just blockchain infrastructure, but he's a person who is inspired me a lot when it comes to decentralization of the world. And that's when we thought of helping institutions basically take away all their operational and technical challenges when it comes to maintaining and managing these validator nodes in a very safe, efficient, and secure manner. And that's how we both came together to build this amazing organization, Luganodes.
And you mentioned institutional demand that also supported your decision to take that step. What were your touching points to them before? I mean, were you in direct conversation with them, or how did this go for you?
Absolutely. So during my tenure in the previous organization, I used to lead a lot of reports which were internally published, and That gave me some insights, and then obviously talking to some of the industry leaders in the space helped us also make that jump.
Got it. And then interestingly, you chose Lugano as a location for your business. How did that come about? So in your previous discussion, we mentioned the Lugano Plan B participation. What is it? Can you tell us more about the program?
Yeah, sure, definitely. So we chose Lugano for primarily three very solid reasons. So number one is Switzerland being a jurisdiction which has a lot of stability, and secondly, there was a lot of institutional support from the city itself, and thirdly, the innovative culture of this city, Lugano. So just to give you some more inputs, right? So essentially, the city itself has its own blockchain called the 3A chain. Then it also has a stable coin which has a cashback mechanism implemented, and the token is called LVGA. And recently, almost more than 300 merchants accept crypto payments in the city. And I'm sure that most of the crypto folks or the leaders would have seen the PR around the McDonald's, where you can go into this McDonald's in Lugano and pay using crypto, which is so beautiful to see. So that's to give you a little about the city itself, and about the culture. Moving to the program, right? So Lugano Plan B program basically is an initiative driven by the city of Lugano and Tether. So the city itself again has 100 million francs worth of fund, which is allocated for startups. The mayor of the city is very supportive about blockchain, as you could easily witness from the examples that I gave. And it also has a summer school program dedicated for blockchains, which is attended by students from all over the globe, and with the thought process of teaching and educating people more about decentralization and blockchain technology in general. And the city also plans to build a blockchain hub for creating a vibrant Web3 ecosystem, where it is inviting a lot of emerging engineers and thought leaders to this amazing city, which aspires to be the crypto capital of the world. And Luganodes is the very first startup part of this blockchain hub. So yeah, that's why we chose Lugano, and that's the association with Lugano Plan B.
So it's like an incubator program, this Lugano Plan B.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, got it. And then, are you also personally located in Lugano right now, or is it possible for you to run your business and operations from around the world?
Around the world, essentially. So we pivot between Lugano and India.
Got it. Recently, you secured your position as the top 13 super representative in the Tron ecosystem. Congrats to this, by the way. How did you manage to get over 360 million in assets under management? Let's call it assets under management, assets under staking for Polygon and Tron in only 4 months.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, and we have been hearing this from a lot of different people as well. So essentially, we were able to win institutional support due to our backgrounds. So my background as an engineer, as well as Subhash's background as a deep infrastructure expert, essentially. And apart from that, definitely the technical competence and excellence of the team, which helped us. We do have unique offerings and strategies which we put together to custom tailor solutions for institutions and help them manage their staking portfolio very efficiently and properly, which got them really excited. And one key principle that we are very proud of, especially given the time, is the speed of execution and the ability to scale this organization in such a short span. Those were like few key pillars which helped us gain the trust of both of these ecosystems, Tron and Polygon. And apart from that, we did showcase our product roadmaps as well, with these different institutions who really believed in what we can potentially achieve with Luganodes, and that's how we were able to get to such delegation numbers. And this will keep growing as the day goes by, and this is just the starting. And with more and more products being rolled out from our side, you will be able to see that more and more institutions will be coming in and working with us.
Can you talk a little bit more about your infrastructure setup? You already mentioned that this was one of the differentiators for you to attract the assets under management. So what you can share, of course, what is special about your setup, and how do you plan to expand?
Sure, I can take this. So we are very efficient with our operations, and we run entirely on bare metal nodes, essentially no cloud. We are fully capable of running servers, physically completely on our own as well. And so essentially it's bare metal operations, or even if we use virtualization somewhere, it would be dedicated resources. So the performance of that we are able to achieve is something that is really great. In fact, in Tron, we are right now the only provider with 100% uptime. We've taken meticulous care here towards redundancies in terms of our nodes positioning, automated migrations, 24/7 alerting, and responses. And even in terms of security, we've gone to certain extreme ends to ensure that we have the confidence to say that we are operating in the most compliant way. This could include using actual air-gapped machines, or isolated machines physically, or hardware wallets, whatever it may be, for cold storage of keys. For signing keys, etc., we typically use encrypted storage on the servers that we do, or even RAM basically. So if something were to happen, the keys are never accessible, etc. And we've actually developed our own internal networking framework, which piggybacks on top of Nebula, from which Slack uses to manage its whole entire communications between its infrastructure, which basically means all our systems are able to securely talk to each other, and we are able to define the firewall rules very easily, and still not expose anything that is not needed to be exposed outside. These are some technical things that we do to ensure that our uptimes, our security guarantees that we are able to provide, and our cost, and we are actually also ensure that if we are purchasing our inventory, it is aptly sized for our requirements. We don't just over provision them and spend a lot of money on that, but we get enough of them so that we have redundancies. So these were some things that our partners really liked. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. And more looking towards the future and more looking on the ecosystem, because what we have seen from our conversations leading up to the staking summit is the industry is maturing, players are coming together, and it's not really a purely competition game that we're playing. We're all, in a way, also cooperating, and cooperation in the ecosystem is important to drive the whole ecosystem forward, and the whole proof of stake narrative, which is basically what we are going to do on the staking summit. To that note, what will Luganodes contribute to this ecosystem in terms of tech and the whole business landscape?
Absolutely. So in terms of whatever work we do, we try to open source as much as possible. In fact, earlier when I spoke about our private networking and how we securely manage it, I said we use Nebula, but we found that using Nebula for all the different instances, the amount of configuration and manual work was a bit too much. So we wrote our own, like control framework for Nebula, which is open source now. We are just, tweaking it a bit more before we go. I mean, it's on our GitHub repo at this moment, public, but we'll be doing more announcements around it once, we are testing it with, privately with a few people. Once it is tuned out, we would release this for the world. And this is, I think, going to be very critical for the proof of stake ecosystem and generally for the tech community as well, in improving their security while still having that ease to do it, so that their developers can still do things well. So that would be something in a general tech scenario. I mean, we are also planning to release more tools around virtualization and networking automations, to name a few. To specifically address about the proof of stake ecosystem, we have a unique model which we are building to develop and manage these nodes, wherein it is like a GUI based or a web UI based approach, wherein you are able to click, deploy, and operate a validator node fully by yourself with just a few commands, and you are able to get it up, monitor it, do some changes on it, perform regular maintenance operations, etc. So these are things that are under development, and we'll be releasing this so that more and more players can come into the space without the friction. And we'll be maintaining this, because what we release is, we believe we will 100% use it and maintain it, and that's what we want for everyone as well. So that is something that will come out of us sometime soon, once it's a bit more polished. And we have our in-house custom monitoring solution as well that we are developing. So that is something we will be releasing too. And generally, right, with proof of stake or any blockchain network, there is no centralized place where you're supposed to get everything, or it's not meant to be that way. So for services like snapshots for blockchain data, or RPC endpoints to connect to publish your transactions, etc., all of these also we will be releasing. I mean, we have a lot more planned, but we really believe in the open source philosophy of working together to make this big shift happen.
Maybe for those listeners not so deep in the tech, what is Nebula? Very
Sure.
shortest amount of, or shortest explanation you could get.
Yeah, so Nebula is a mesh VPN framework. So essentially, if you look at centralized VPNs, there is like all the traffic flows through one single server, and there is a lot of, there is a single point of failure. But with WireGuard, you are able to have all your endpoints talk to each other directly. So Nebula is something that I would say is going even further and adding more features to this mesh VPN technology, wherein all your servers, your management people, your nodes can talk to each other without a single point of failure. And this was developed by Slack, and Slack uses this on all of their nodes in production. But it was a bit difficult for us to use, so that's where we built nebctl, which is on our GitHub right now, which you can use to get this very amazing fault tolerant VPN technology, like essentially with few commands. So that's what we've done.
Thank you. And on that note, I want to give a shout out to our listeners to post your questions in the comments section in YouTube. We will pick them up and then also ask them to our guests. And we've already collected 2 questions. Anuj already wrote that they are great questions, so keep the questions coming. We will address those in the later stage of the episode. To the next question. One of the hottest topics in the staking industry right now is liquid staking. What is your opinion on this? are your validators already used by liquid staking providers?
I can take this one, Subash. So basically, just to look at some, interesting facts, especially about liquid staking, right? So we are seeing a lot of institutional interest. Definitely, some of the big names of the industry, especially the staking providers, are getting into this and building. So some of them are Anchor. There is P-Stake. There is, um, Liquid Collective, which is also being built. So, and recently we also saw BlackRock partner with Coinbase, and Coinbase basically, launching their liquid staking product with CBETH, and definitely this space looks very, very lucrative and interesting, but we are still exploring at this point, and we are still evaluating and seeing how this is going to play out. Definitely after the STK ETH situation that happened with Lido Finance, it would be important for us to gauge this even further. We do understand that institutions care a lot about liquidity when it comes to Ethereum, because currently Ethereum doesn't have any liquidity option. So these liquid staking protocols have been very helpful and key in making sure that these, especially Ethereum staking, becomes much easier as an experience for these institutions to protect their clients' wealth and capital. So, but definitely this is something that should be, capped, in my opinion, and we shall definitely see as to how this might play out. And currently, to answer the last part of the question that you asked, whether we are, liquid staking provider or not. So currently, we haven't partnered with any of the other liquid staking providers at the moment, and still we are like evaluating and exploring whether to do that or not.
Got it. I will already pick some of the community questions right now. First one is, do you have a provider who impresses you a lot and serves as a role model for you?
I think one name that comes to my mind as of now is definitely Everstake. And given their situation with Ukraine, and still they're holding up so well, and hustling every day towards making sure that they are providing the best of infrastructure to their almost, I don't know, maybe 600,000 plus customers. That's very inspiring to see as a provider. And Sergey, the founder, is a really inspirational role model in this space, and has been looked up upon by the staking leaders as well. And I would pick him. Yep. And Everstake as the provider.
Got it. Subash, do you have another role model for you, or would you just second this?
I would definitely second this for the reasons Anuj greatly mentioned. But I mean, to answer it maybe from a more of a technical inspiration point of view, I would say Polkachu is a great validator operator in my opinion. I've seen, I mean, mainly based on how much open source contribution they've done and how transparent they are with the way they operate. So that is something I really found interesting.
Cool. We've got a question from a blockchain engineer. He's or she is curious what tools you internally use for monitoring your infrastructure. And thanks. He or she says great talk, by the way. So thanks for that.
Sure, I can take that. So basically, we have two levels of monitoring. So the primary our primary monitoring system essentially uses Prometheus, Grafana, and the associated stack to get live metrics from all our nodes, the physical hardware. If everything is fine, the SSD is fine, the network performance is fine, all of that, and we have various thresholds based on which alerts are sent to different people who can act and do something on them. So that would be Prometheus, Grafana. And on the secondary monitoring, so we while we have this setup which has been reliably working, we also run an independent secondary monitoring setup. So this could include tools like Tender Duty, Solana Watchtower, or even our custom tools that query our nodes, external block explorer APIs, or explorers to monitor our validator performance from multiple sources. Essentially, it's redundancy at every level. In case we have a complete failure on our primary monitoring, all of it, we would still get alerts because the secondary monitoring is running completely independently in a different place, whatnot. So, I mean, yeah, so those are some tools, but mostly what I've seen work very well for us is custom monitoring scripts that we write for particular metrics that alert us in advance. So the reason we were able to maintain such good uptimes is because before even something goes astray with any of the hardware or the nodes, we get an alert. I mean, many of the times we get alerts at midnights, and then we still have people logging in and checking them. So I think that's what would really sets a great provider apart, your custom monitoring. So yes, there are no tools for that. It's just Python, Node.js, etc., and you building that system out, which we will open source to the best of our abilities because we want everyone to have that expertise.
Ashley is asking, or she wrote, I plan to launch my DeFi startup soon. How can I apply for Lugano Plan B program?
Yeah, I think I can take that. So the short answer to that is we are writing a blog and it will be very, very soon out. And Ashley, I would request you to definitely read that and do hit us up on Twitter because we do have our DMs open as well, and we'll be happy to share the process there. But to make it more transparent, essentially the program application will be open for the public as well very, very soon. And they can head over to the website planb.lugano.ch and they would be able to apply from there online as well.
And your Twitter handles are?
Luganodes Twitter handle is essentially operated by us. So yeah.
No, I mean also your personal one.
Yeah. So mine is Anuj Shankar 95.
Mine is @ping SNS. PING SNS.
Perfect. What is Lugano's long-term vision? What are your next steps and milestones?
Sure. Anuj, I'll take this.
Yeah, sure, go.
Sure. So the long-term vision is definitely to be the number one staking provider, both in the enterprise segment as well as retail customers. And I mean, this is our primary long-term vision, but more deeply, we are, we really want to explore into other avenues of Web3 and facilitate decentralization in even more areas. So, I mean, there is a lot that we have in plan, which at this point I can't be sharing, but then you will expect huge announcements in the coming year. Yeah.
Got it. Very interesting.
Anuj, you can maybe talk about milestones and other things.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Why not? So we also intend to launch our staking platform by the next quarter. And we also plan to go live on around 15 to 20 blockchains by the end of the year. We are already underway ISO 27001 security compliance so that we can be easily onboarded by multiple institutions all across the globe, and we are able to even more gain their trust and support by showcasing such compliance measures taken on our infrastructure. And one thing that we truly believe is about sustainability, right? So as Subash also mentioned, that we take careful measures in right sizing our infrastructure. So keeping that in mind, we also thought of becoming carbon neutral by the end of the year by partnering with some of these different organizations such as Climate Trade, etc., so that we are completely carbon neutral as an organization. So those are some milestones that we are looking forward to and planning to hit them right at the mark.
Very aspiring and also inspiring. On that note, a comment from the comment section is, it's so inspiring to see and listen to your journey so far. Interested in knowing what's the biggest hurdle you faced while setting up validators. And maybe that ties a little bit into a question, what advice or learnings you would share with others that aspire to run validators and enter the space?
Sure. I can take that actually. So I would say the biggest hurdle for us was, the biggest challenge is knowing that your infra is going to be always up no matter what. If like you've set it up, it's running fine, and you're going to sleep, and you want to know it's going to run when you're asleep, right? And if something is going wrong, you should be knowing about it. So so always when we set up new nodes, most of our time would be spent on the monitoring and alerting and actually what to do when an alert comes, preparing for scenarios. So we have checklists, right? Okay, if you see this sort of an alert or this sort of a failure, you run it step by step, and like you have to migrate a node from here to there. No one should even know that you face this error. Your users should not know all this in the background. This is happening in the background. So preparing for any sort of failure or any sort of performance issues that you might come across, and having a clear action plan and checklist to act upon to remediate that issue without anyone noticing, right? The biggest thing, thing is, no one notices you when you're doing things right, but everyone will notice you when something goes wrong. So making sure that no one knows, as in no one is even aware of any issues, because it was never there, because as soon as it was about to come, you fixed it. So that, I think, is the most and assuring that is the most difficult hurdle we are facing and have faced too.
Anuj, in your introduction, you shared with us that Subash introduced you a little bit into the ethos of decentralization. What is Web3 for you, and where do you think it is headed?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a beautiful question. So, for me, definitely it's about giving the power back to the user and building products which can live the true values and live the principles of privacy. So that's what Web3 essentially means for me. But I think Subhash can put it forward even more beautifully as to what Web3 means for him, and you can hear it from the person himself.
Wow, thank you, Anuj. So I think Web3 for me is like an evolution into a more decentralized, open, and privacy-preserving internet and infrastructure that we have around us. I mean, right now, if you say Web3, it's the understanding or the perspective is a bit skewed towards financial systems and tokens, etc. But I mean, it's shifting now, and it's good. Like personally, I run a de-Googled phone. I use Linux on my laptops. I run my own home cloud where all of my data is residing. I have private networking between all of these services, etc. And even at Luganodes, we use a matrix for our internal communications, and we run open source, peer-to-peer based, on decentralized or distributed system wherever possible. So I mean, Web3 I mean, this is what true Web3 is to me. Obviously, not negating what we've so far achieved with Web3, but I feel this is where we should focus even more to. It's more a way of life, and the objective is for this sort of life is to go mainstream for everyone.
And then to go even one layer below is why, in general, you would say decentralized systems are better than centralized systems.
So, first thing would be control, right? So, in a decentralized system, everyone has an opportunity to voice and shift systems and the current status quo. But with a centralized system, it becomes very, very difficult depending on how strong the centralization is. So I mean, that is like, so any if something is going wrong, right, in the world, if you want to voice your opinion, make a change, it is much harder in a centralized system, because depending on who is that is heading these centralized systems, you may be shut down, you may be, things may happen to you. But we've seen these things happen a lot around us too, when people like Aaron Schwartz and Snowden, the way, and even Julian Assange were treated, and it deeply hurts me to see these things happen to such people. So yeah, I mean, so power is definitely something that is one thing, but more so I would say innovation, right? Also, like in a decentralized system, for example, if you look at Matrix, there are 5 to 6 clients. Anyone can develop a Matrix client and have it customized for their needs and organizations' needs or whatnot. And all of these are interoperable, and all of these are built on top of each other because all of these are open source and so on. So like such innovation is only possible in a decentralized environment where everything is in the open. And so that is another reason I would say that decentralization has to go more mainstream. And yeah, I mean, there is so much more, but yes, these two would be like one of the main reasons I would say.
Yeah, so many things come with centralization, right? It will naturally attract the most ill-intent people to occupy
Yeah.
the central node of a network, because then they occupy the whole system. Whereas in a decentralized system, you need to overtake many nodes at the same time. Then you have the whole thing of rent seeking. Of course, with centralized systems, there can be people or entities that are just taking out the rent of the centralization rent, so to say. Yeah, a lot of things to add to that, but I fully subscribe to this.
Thank you so much.
How do you see the future of proof of stake? What are your views, and which of the developments do you find most exciting?
Yeah, I think I can take this one, Subash. So, essentially, the future of proof of stake looks very, very promising and exciting to me and to Luganodes, and especially with Ethereum moving from proof of work to proof of stake speaks leaps and bounds and creates a very solid case for proof of stake in general. As we could see that the energy consumption straight away went down 99%, which is just phenomenal. And Ethereum is the home for all the various different decentralized applications, and is also the second largest cryptocurrency, right, by market cap. So definitely that's building a solid case. And we are also seeing institutions moving towards staking, and that is evident with almost $100 billion staked, $93 billion staked, essentially. And where we see this going is, and what we are essentially bullish about, is also the concept of app chains, which was initially introduced by Cosmos, but now is being introduced by various different L1 and L2 providers such as Polygon, Avalanche, Binance Binance Smart Chain, and the likes of others, right? So, which typically tailor to various use cases such as gaming or creating an dedicated application specific blockchain for an enterprise, where we are seeing scalability more while also using the same security features of the underneath blockchain, right? So that's something that we are definitely pretty bullish about, and we are also doubling down on such opportunities where we get to be part of different app chain ecosystems and provide our solid node infrastructure to these chains and help those upcoming founders with our capabilities of running fantastic blockchain infrastructure. And obviously, with more and more decentralization coming into the picture, we all know about the blockchain trilemma. So there is definitely two key principles, right? So one is the scalability aspect, and the security aspect is something that is a must. And we are definitely seeing rapid innovation in this space happening in order to achieve both of these principles. And we are very, very looking forward to a great future of proof of stake.
James is asking what tokens he can stake with you, and is there a minimum amount or a locking period?
I can take this one quickly. So currently, James, you can stake Polygon, Tron, Kusama, Polkadot, Cosmos with us, and the minimum amount would typically vary as per the blockchain, and also the locking period would vary for each of these blockchains. So to answer that part would be a bit tricky, because each chain has its own lock-in and minimum amount staked parameters in place to answer that.
And James, for that, go on to stakingrewards.com and search for Luganodes, and you will find a detailed profile of Luganodes as a validator, and there you find all the assets. And then from there, you can also check out the assets and get all of these specifications. You will see the payouts and the fees the validators charge, and basically check out stakingrewards.com. Jamie is asking, are you sometimes scared of your own fast growth as a staking provider?
Short answer is nope. We are we want to grow more, and probably want to grow 10 times more essentially from here, and be the number one staking provider in the world.
Perfect. What's the best way to follow you too, Luganodes, and in general, what you're working on?
So definitely, I would say you can follow our Twitter handle, which is Luganodes, and there you can definitely find a lot of amazing updates on what we are working on, and definitely learn more about staking. We do post a lot of value-added content and do some overviews of different chains, and publish detailed reports as well. And if you do like our content, then definitely hit the like button and retweet.
Exactly. Also, for this episode, to everyone watching, please hit the like button and subscribe to the Staking Rewards channel if you haven't done already. Also, go to stakingrewards.com/summit. Check out our staking summit this year in Lisbon. It will be still nice weather there, long weekend. Get your tickets. This is the first time that the whole staking ecosystem is coming together. You will be able to meet Anuj and Subash there. Luganodes is sponsoring the event as the lead sponsor, and it's going to be a super great event. Check it out. We will discuss where staking goes next. And you can also check out our previous episodes here on YouTube of Staking Mondays. They're also available on Spotify. And let us know in the comment sections who else you would like to see on the next Staking Mondays episodes. And for Anuj, Subash, and the audience, I'm Marian. As always, happy staking.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, everyone.